Father God, what a delight to be in a room with these women again. Lord, what a privilege to be able to brag about the work that you have done in our lives. Lord, we pray that this would be a time that accomplishes your purposes. I'm excited that we will have some video of just how powerful this experience was. But I'm most excited, as Annetta said, that we can just get together and just be with each other and share what you have done even since we had our intensive. Lord, we ask, as always, that you would keep the enemy away. And Lord, we pray protection over Jerry and Judy as they're still coming. We ask, Lord God, boldly that you would bind up the evil one, that you would cast him out. He has no ground and no room. We forbid him to have any part of this time. I forbid him to mess with even any of the equipment or any of the audio or anything like that. We just tell you, Satan, to get out of here. And Lord, we welcome your spirit. We welcome your truth. We welcome your power. We just thank you and praise you, Lord, that you are King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Thank you that we are your warrior princesses. We thank you and praise you that you have done a mighty work to bring freedom and healing and truth into our lives. Lord, thank you for the beautiful women that are represented here. Lord, thank you for the joy that you have given each of us to spend time with each other. Lord, help us to honor you and bring you glory today. And we love you, and we ask these things in Jesus Christ's awesome name. Amen. Update on where you're at now and what kind of how this has impacted you just as you lived forward from,
I've opened up a lot more to some of my girlfriends. Like, I have one really close girlfriend that I consider like a best friend. Everybody else is kind of, I would associate with. I mean, we are in our circles, I guess, of friends. But I've opened up a lot more and shared myself a lot more, which I would never do in a million years. Even though I've known them for 15 years, I wouldn't.
Wow.
Because I just have not trusted women. I never have, really. And this group really opened up a lot of like, oh, women are good. I've always just been kind of superficial with people. And I don't mean that in a negative way.
No,
just
no. You give them
absolutely. So, but I've gone deep and actually had some really good conversations with some girlfriends that even though we've been friends seriously 15, 20 years, they're like, we had no idea. Thank you for sharing. I'm like, okay, well, I do love you guys. You know, but, so that's helped a lot.
Been able to share some of the things that happened and just how amazing how I just have never had something so impactful and never been around I mean, I love people genuinely, and I am able to make friends very easy, but never so close, so quick, so intimately been, part of a group of women who I know will have my back, and I know will pray for me, and I know are praying for me, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. So, thank you.
And I struggled too, just that first night when I was like, I don't know that I should be here. Like, I just didn't, not that I didn't feel a connection, but I'm like, I'm not struggling with the same things that everybody else is struggling with. But then the second day I was like, so glad I'm here,
But I really looked at my parenting and how I was raising Alex, and I was thinking, gosh, he's going to grow up and be healthy because I'm healthy.
Yeah.
I'm getting myself healthy. And then I just kept thinking, look at how powerful Jen is and how well-rounded she is. If I can be a healthy parent, my son will be a healthy child, adult. So that, seeing that in an embodiment of a person being raised healthy and happy was like, they don't have these issues. No, that was really exciting to see that people can really have normal upbringings and be normal, successful people.
Exactly. I felt like when I came in, I was being with my marriage and everything, trying to keep everything in control. I was reading my self-help book, and I was doing my DD healing, and I was like really on the road to healing, but it was more like I was controlling it. And I think coming here made me realize that I needed God. Like, I just took God back into my life daily. Like, I do my Jesus calling every day and my devotional and praying and constantly talking to him and working on that relationship. And I feel like all my relationships and stuff are getting healthier that way too. And it just was really empowering for me for that, just because I was like, that's what I was missing. Like, it was like a breath of fresh air. Like, I don't have to be in control. I can just pray and have that relationship too.
It's just amazing, and it was wonderful, and it was just empowering, and he's just like, okay, I'm like, that's just kind of how it was. But I had this feeling of I have these princess warriors that have my back. And so I'm like, these are my gals that I know. I know, like, if I need prayer or whatever, like, I can just say, hey, listen, this is it. And I don't have that, like, I have a few close friends, but that's kind of it. And but I don't know, like, I feel like I just really shared myself more here than even with them, so it's just been amazing. Like, you guys have all just been gifts. And I told Didi, I said, I didn't know anybody, but I came like, okay, I don't know anybody, but that's great. Like, I'm okay, I'm open, and I don't know what God's gonna do. I don't even know what it's all about, but I'm here, and I just loved it. It's just really been such a huge blessing just to know, like, I'm always like, I want to talk to all of them, but it's kind of like, but just knowing that I'm in your minds, on your hearts, and
My shame always was covered up with perfectionism. So I never wanted shame to leak through at all. And so when the perfectionism goes, and then there's the shame, and then when I let the shame go, it's like, here I am. And to be loved in that place is so rare, because I so rarely ever opened that up to anybody. The smaller group, having 10 women versus 24, I've done it before with like 60 something.
That might be a little more intimidating.
That was so good for me because, my only close friends that I really ever open up with, they're out of state. I don't have anybody here.
Mine was my husband,
Yeah.
truly. That's and when I opened up with my girlfriends, I remembered you saying, your story is your bag of gold. It's not. It's not.
Right.
Yes, it was your past, but treat it as your bag of gold. So I laid it on the line, and they're like, "We still love you." Like, hello,
I love you more, probably.
Yeah. I don't care. That was like,
No, we love you more.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my gosh, they're not judging me. They're not, and that was really. That was.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's life-changing when you
Completely.
lay out that tenderest part of you and that most wounded part of you, and someone comes over and goes, oh, I love you for your tenderness and for your little wounded part. I love, like, that helps me love you more.
I can't get you off my heart,
Yes.
and I never will. And God will intertwine our lives like that. But just the safety of that we chose not to hide.
Right.
We could have. We didn't have to share stuff. I mean, I've shared some of my stuff, and it's like, really, you've already shared that. You think you could share, like, couldn't you be struggling with something else? And it was, no, this is where I am now.
But I just knew I had to let it go. I had to let it go. That I didn't have to pretend and hide it anymore.
It was very, very quick to find out none of us have it in control, and that's why we're here, because we need each other.
I deal with perfectionism, and like Dee Dee said, when that's gone, and then you look at shame, and then you deal kind of with shame, and then you think, well, I'm not big, I'm small.
I found I don't have the stress that I usually carry.
Well, and that's some of your migraines and stuff too, is you just
Absolutely.
had held it together for so long, and so much trauma and so much pain. When we internalize that, it's going to come out physiologically. It's going to come out, in real chronic illnesses usually.
It was like all of a sudden I had been in this little cocoon just sobbing, and didn't really know what was going on. And it's like God said, I need you to open your eyes. I need you to see this.
Wow.
And that just so touched me. I can't put words to how I felt at that moment. I still can't.
Yeah.
Because it was just so deep, so healing.
Well, what was amazing to me, that moment was a representation of so many things, but one of them was what this is all about, which is to break free of lies that have kept us in bondage our whole lives, and generational lies. And you guys are like, we can't stand to have those on her. And I know how the Lord feels with us, is He wants us free. He wants to strip those things away from us and to anoint us, because that's what it felt like. Like, these women were like pouring their lives into you, pouring their love into you, and their sorrow and their they were weeping, they were mourning over the sin, over what happened to you, over the perpetration over you. And they were pouring into those places where the lives were being taken away. And just the sheer beauty of that. I mean, that makes me just want to fall on my face, because that was one of the most powerful things I've ever seen. I
But
mean,
the
it was-
words you put on yourself were not the cleaned up words, and you said that. You just, and you had them everywhere, and they were the ugliest words, that the grotesque words that you could have come up with, but that's what they were for you, and that's what made it so powerful. It was just so real. You were so ready to be set free.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. I am free.
Yeah.
And I'm a totally different person.
One of the other things I wanted to just talk about too, that I thought was so impactful, and this is something God gave me literally the night before, about having you guys go up to someone that had something, that had a quality that you wanted to really be blessed with from them, and that you could take away. And you already referenced that when you held up your cross, but if anybody wants to share what that was like for them, just going up and asking, like, I see this in you and I want that from you. And we know it comes from the Lord, but yeah, so if anybody wants to share that, that was sweet. There's a lot of moments. That was such a bonding for hearts.
I don't know if it's like on the same line of what you want shared.
That's all good. Share whatever you want.
I was in bed for 2 days after I got home with, I was telling Dee Dee, Satan working on me really bad, and I cried a lot, and I felt like not good enough, and all the things came to me really bad for like 2 days, and I kept trying to read the words, and I kept thinking of Dee Dee in the mirror telling Satan to get out, to leave me alone, to read, like that he wasn't welcome, and I was just really vulnerable and really, really, really sad. And I think it was because now I knew that I wanted to shine my light to God, that I felt like Satan was coming at me like full force. And so I was super vulnerable, and my husband didn't do well with me being so vulnerable and needy. And I kept saying through his alcoholism that I wanted him to get raw and to get help and to hit his rock bottom of why he drinks and to get vulnerable. And he did that day. Like, he did a couple days later, and he got really, really raw, and he was sobbing, and he was saying that he thinks that I would have an affair because why wouldn't I, because he's so mean to me, and that I'm the best thing that's ever happened to him, and that he's he worries about what kind of dad he would be and what kind of husband he is because he's never had a good role model. And I was like, post-retreat, you break it now. This is your turn to change. And I felt like I had all the tools to help him through this process. And then, you know, he's like, I see faces when he was in the military of killing people. I see faces, and I have them come to my face, into my head. And I was like, you have to send love and light to that person you were doing. And I just felt like I was equipped to help him through everything because of being here. And he compliments me all the time now. He told me the other day that, like, I'm the main dish at a dinner party. Everybody wants a piece of me. And he says nice things to me all the time. And I feel like because we've let God come in and soften us, and I had the right words for him on Veterans Day, he, like, sobbed the whole day. He cried all morning. And I was telling Dee Dee, I just laid out there, and I, like, let him cry, and I let him get it out, and I tried to give him healing words and to let him know that God knows him and is healing him. And it was really powerful. So I feel like because I took a piece of Jean with me, that I was equipped.
Wow.
As a word shows up and it becomes live, and there's light in the dark. That's what God's word does. You can't help but shine because it's his light, you know, through you. It's not really you. You just had the courage to let it shine and not say, not me, use somebody else, you know.
You know, one of the things that we had talked a lot about was the enemy comes against you in the place where you're most anointed. Right. So, you know, that where the enemy would come against you, that you're too different, or there's, you know, nobody's going to get you, or nobody, like, you're not to be seen, you're not to be heard, you're not, and your anointing is to be seen and heard and speak truth and to be powerful and to spread that light and life and healing to someone else with a gentleness, and I think that was, I mean, one of the other things that this is all about is calling out the lies that every single woman faces. There is not a place where you know, when you came in Friday night, you're like, well, everyone but me seems to have it all together. And then you look at, not to pick on you, but let's look at you, and you had some of your own lies that you had believed. And we want to look at you and go, well, she's got it together, and then we can not like her because she's got it together. Instead of, you know, or we can say, no, we like you. Don't not like me. Or we can say, you know, the body type right now is to be super, super thin. So we can say, well, Angie clearly has it all figured. Jean, clearly, they don't have any issues with their bodies because that's what everyone wants to look like. Oh, we don't. That's right. But, you know, and just to hear you say, you know, I dealt with shame growing up. You dealt with shame growing up. I mean, there's not a single one of us that's immune to shame. And that's the beautiful thing about speaking it out. The second we speak it to a safe person, it has no power anymore. And then someone can look at you and go, like Brene says, hey, me too. Hey, me too. I felt that, or I've done that. And then we get shame out of the way, then we can really experience a healing. And we can really, it's truth. It's all about the truth. And that this is universal. I've been doing this for 20 years now, and I've probably seen thousands of people at this point. I've never, ever met a woman that did not have some level of a lie or some level of shame. And I've met women who are across the board, every size, every shape, every color, who are, you know, in my eyes, so beautiful, who walk in and just, you know, it's this horrific shame. So just to be able to speak out against that, and just to be able to say, you know, we all struggle. And instead of going to a place of comparing ourselves, which is the what? Thief of joy, comparison, we can enter into someone else's world. And we can come alongside. You know, I mean, one of my favorite moments with you and I, oh, it's going to make me want to cry, is so many of the lies that you believed, I believed. And I stood across from you and I was mad. Not mad at you, of course. I was just mad that you had those horrible lies on you. And I mean, I think I had to have somebody else come read them. Because I was just like, I just couldn't. I couldn't even do it. I could, What's that? Help.
Come help.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, but that was just so powerful because, man, to watch the damage that had caused you, and that's the same damage that it had caused me. And that's my mother's heart for you. I just want to be like, no.
And it's funny because, Jean, I never thought I could meet another Dee Dee. Like, Dee Dee has become my mother. Like, she doesn't, I don't call her and talk to her every day, but
you could anyway. No, but just that is a way that the Lord has used us together. Absolutely.
And I didn't know that there was more nurturing through other adult women. And then when I met Jean, I thought, oh my gosh, she's so mothering and loving and nurturing. And to have two adult women in my life that I can think of for positive adult nurturing women is amazing. I mean, since day one with Dee Dee, I've oh my gosh, she's my...
Sure.
Yeah.
Because we shared just having kind of the same, not kind of the same mother. I mean, it wasn't really the same mother, but Lord, cut from the same cloth.
But I got just as much nurturing from you that weekend as I did from Dee Dee, which was so enlightening and so loving. But to have mothering love and light come to me in 35 years, or well, I've known Dee Dee for 5, so 30 years of not having it is such a blessing to me.
Yeah. And everybody fought to really be here and to honor each other with the truth of who we are. Because we are honored with each other when we go to that place and we trust someone else, again, with our little wounded self, and we lay it out, especially those of us that have been wounded by those that are supposed to care for us.
Well, and the fact that beautiful women can look at another woman and speak truth and not ugly lies was so empowering to me, because I've only had women speak ugliness to me. until I met Dee Dee, truly, which is why I've always been so guarded in every female relationship. I'm terrible with female relationships. It's not because of the other person. I'm just so afraid of being hurt that when everybody came to me and spoke such truth and beauty over me, it took a few days to process that for me.
But
for
now
sure.
you kind of believe it a little, right? Like
For sure.
you,
Totally.
You could see a
Yeah.
transformation in this, and I talked to Dee Dee about this too. Like especially you and Erin. I don't know why, but Erin was next to me, and she was this little, and I wanted to just be over here with her like this the whole night. And I know that's not what she wanted, and that's so hard for me to understand because I've always been that, and I've always had that, and I saw you over there the same way, and I just wanted to pour my love, and I just kept thinking, that's not what they want. They don't want to let that in.
But
They don't want to let
something
that
wanted
in.
her because remember she came over on Friday and then it was like, do you guys care if I stay here? And we were like, no, stay. Like we were cozy and like I think she could feel it. Like
But then too, and I think when you let go of those lies and you let go of those shames and through our exercises and through the trust, I could feel like you were letting love in. You were letting go of the lies and you were filling it with the love and the truth and all of those things that you heard from us. Like I totally saw a transformation in you.
Yay! It's funny, my son is like, Mom, you just seem like you're glowing. And I've held that for truly since, I mean, I had a couple days too where I was like, whoa, this is intense. But for the most part, I've really just tried to tune that out and just bring in the light.
Exactly.
And even my son is like, Mom, you're glowing. I love it.
There was a little bit of a letdown when you go home because you're like, oh.
It was powerful to watch personalities emerge even more. Again, I have such a privilege of knowing everyone really well. So I've seen all the delightful sides to you, but just the freedom to just be. And I know a lot of people have talked about, you know, how when you were a little girl and how impactful that was for them, like that side to you. And I know that's coming out again. That creative, spontaneous, fun little girl that got so oppressed growing up. Like that's because people are like, I want to be the little Angie. I want to be the little Angie. Because that's in you.
Yeah. I left feeling like I had these 10 amazing stars. You know, just these burning stars that I'm like, oh my gosh, these are burning stars. It's light that's going out into the world that I know. And I can say, I know her, I know her, I know her. And like that felt like a huge privilege, you know.
Yeah.
So
the piece that, and one of the reasons I wanted to have us share this is so that women know there is an enemy. And we've talked about this. I think just how you didn't have any idea. Like we're standing there in the mirror, and this nasty, terrible voice comes at us, like you're disgusting, and you're horrible, and you're fat, and you're and you know, and we're just doing our hair, you know, like we're just used to it, you know.
Yeah, you hear it, you don't recognize what it is. One, you don't recognize what it is, and one, you don't have the tools to send it away. I think that's one of the biggest pieces, is that recognize and get rid of it, and know that you have the authority to do both.
Exactly. And I think too the message that I feel so passionate about and so strong about is there is freedom right here. And we don't even realize it. We don't even know. So many women live, so many people, but so many women live their whole lives in bondage and just don't have any idea of the joy that you can have. Or, you know, that this ridiculous society that we live in where it's like, well, if I could lose, I mean, I literally had somebody say this the other day, like she has this in her head, 5 more pounds, and she'd struggle with anorexia, and she's like, if I just lose 5 more pounds, if I could just, I'll be happy when, or I'll be free when. And the power of the Lord is that He wants us free right now, and our external bodies have so little to do with the freedom that He wants to bring us. But society tells us, well, you're wrong, and you don't fit in, and you're not this size, and you don't weigh this much, and we talked about this other thing, you have this slim little window and you can maybe for 10 minutes you can be okay, and then something else is wrong with you, or this is, you know, well, okay, now I lost the weight, but now my skin's saggy, so now I've got to get this, and you know, and just understanding that we are perpetrated with lies from the second we wake up till the second we go to bed, and then our dreams are filled with them too. So, yeah. But just, you know, you guys are such an example of, like, nobody lost weight while we were here that weekend.
I don't think
I didn't.
And nobody talked about losing weight. It wasn't.
Exactly.
It wasn't what your body looks like. It's what your inside looks like. Who cares?
The piece that I think was so evident, again, at the end of the weekend, nobody's body changed. Everyone's heart changed. Everyone changed internally. Everyone I still read my little words you guys gave me. I felt just, you know, I'm the teacher or whatever. I felt so loved and so seen and so heard and so honored.
I love
by
that
you
we
guys.
have you on a pedestal anyways because of how we feel for you, but that you still are doing your healing too.
Yeah.
That
And
you're
you
human.
participated, yeah.
Exactly. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I'd
That
be
was
dumb not to
huge.
participate. That's so powerful.
But it
I'm
was
not-
huge for
Yeah.
us to tell, oh my gosh, Dee Dee, yeah, because he was like, Dee Dee's got it all together. No,
Yeah.
Dee Dee doesn't have it all.
No.
Dee Dee is still struggling and
We're
working.
always work in progress.
Yeah,
Like,
and that was just powerful.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful.
That's what it does more than anything for me, is just kind of brings me back to know how much love is here and how much support and how much prayer and how much, you know,
Yeah.
amazing, you know, goodness is there.
Yeah. Well, and it's such the thing that I take away every single day, and I'm so privileged to do what I do and sit with people's stories and really walk through their healing with them. But this is a hard, evil world. It is hard. Bad things happen. Bad things have happened to every one of us. It's just, and when you can find a place of light and healing and intentional speaking truth, that filled that weekend, you know, I always leave like, she was so funny at one point, she's like, this never gets old. Like, she was like, this is amazing. I'm like, see why I'm so excited to do this? When's the next one? Oh my gosh.
there's love behind it. It's just like that
Exactly.
connection, and you say it, and then you go to each 10 of us, like that we were there and present, and
Yeah, and I love, because I was like, warrior, princess, princess, warrior, warrior, princess, princess, warrior. I just kept feeling like God was like, I want the warrior first. Warrior, princess. But he wants both.
Yeah.
Because if we're just warriors, I mean, this is the most tender group of people, but also the most powerful. Man, so when you get the warrior going, and true warrior has a brave heart. And just, we can really come alongside each other as nurturers with the fullness of who we are as women, but with power too. Because
absolutely. I felt like I was saying that to my clients. I'm like, women are just amazingly powerful. Like, we are. And just like when we're in our shell and we crack out of it, when you can see your growth and what you really can become, it's amazing. Like,
well, and it invites other women into that too.
in the
that's
Me
what I
Too
love.
kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because I love being around other women that are powerful, because it gives me more permission. But you give women permission to be bigger, present, and confident, because we're really conditioned as women. Just don't show up too much. Don't have a big head. Don't look like you like yourself, because that's being
Unattractive.
conceited. That's unattractive.
Stay one step back.
Exactly. And let someone else take the lead.
Yep.
And boy, I feel so strongly that the Lord has called every single one of us to be a star, to really light the way for other women, and to really give them permission. Like, the more room I have inside, the more I can make room for someone else. And that's the piece that, I see with you guys, is you literally made room for everybody to be as big and as bold and as funny and as intelligent as they could be. And I never felt threatened. I didn't feel like, boy, if she's smarter than me and I better adjust. Or I just am like, I've got room for everybody to be fully who they are. And then when we're loved, we get, it's like somebody's nurturing us. We get bigger and we get glow. And it's just beautiful. And to have he's 10, right? To have a 10-year-old give that feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like,
And he's such a and just the freedom of that.
I think I learned as you kind of go through this and you're on your own doing. Stay on there. And you're on your own, kind of trying to figure out what you want to say and how you want to portray it and things like that. I just feel like I learned more about myself as I did it, and I kind of got some clarity about some of the things that I don't want to say that I was maybe struggling with, but just kind of got clarity. Like, oh, maybe that's why I feel this way, or maybe that's why I think this way, and I that whole mine was more like I've got all of these. I don't want to call them burdens, but they're like the boxes that kind of fill my head and fill my heart with all the things that I take on from other people. But that's the part that I love so much about it, because I feel like I can do that. And then I just feel like I need to try to let some of those things go so I can see the little miracles, so I can see the stars, so I can be able to really kind of take those in and continue to give the people that deserve it my best.
Exactly.
You know, things like that.
Sure.
So I just felt like I learned more about myself, and knowing I put things like controversial but simple, and bold but simple, and strong but simple, and I feel like sometimes I'm never simple ever. But I truly feel like I have a simple heart. I have simplicity, just knowing that I am comfortable in who I am, and I love that that's what I am, and that if I change, I'm good with that, and it's okay, and people will accept me for it, and so I think I just learned more about myself while I did this.
Yeah.
I gave one of these to my granddaughter that I made, and when they come to my house at night, when I pray with them, it's, okay, I'm going to tell you who Jesus says you are. And it's those words of truth that really nobody did for me.
Yeah.
They wanted to. It's not that they didn't want to, but I want to intentionally do that. And then for myself, I want to intentionally believe it for myself too.
I went home and went over it with my husband, and he was really proud of me, which was cool. But when I read it, it makes me happy, because I broke out, like, the one ugliness on this whole thing, because I tried to be just really positive, was that I'm not picture perfect, and I don't have to strangle myself with that anymore.
Yeah, that was a powerful placement of that. Yeah.
So I've really tried to break out of that, and I've really just tried to live everything on my page. I'm working really hard on finding my faith. I'm allowing myself to love myself so I can feel the love others have for me. I'm really learning what it means that the Lord is my shepherd. I'm really working on these things, and I too put the words that everybody else gave me in here, and I read them, and they're just, I feel like they make me stronger. So I read mine as a positive reminder of the hard work and the work that I have to do.
Sure.
So,
What would you like to say if somebody's thinking about doing something like this? Because this scare, let me just be honest, this scares the crap out of women, to be in a small group environment where we are going to really discuss some hard things, and we're going to be vulnerable, and we're going to be open. What would you say to women who are like, I hate things like this, I don't ever want to do something like that? Because a lot of you did feel that way at the very beginning, and there's really been some sweet transformations. But if someone's thinking about this and they're like, oh, or women are terrible, or women are just gonna, everybody there is gonna be judging me, or whatever.
Do it.
Just do it.
That's
Just
you
do it.
have to go.
You are just who we
That's
want.
just it.
That is your attitude, exactly.
I just think that knowing that, like we said, we all came in here, like, not just kind of trying to figure everybody out sort of thing, and we all didn't know each other except for maybe just a few of us or whatever. One, it takes a lot of courage, and knowing that there's some risk and that you're going to have to work. You don't just sit back and fly by or whatever, like, you actually put the work in, but the growth that you get from it, and the sisterhood and the love and the passion and everything that came from the short time that we had together was just, it's so impactful. It's nothing that I've ever experienced before, aside from my bestie. Like, I have never experienced, like, being able to have those relationships with people so close, so quick. it's so worth, you know, it's worth the risk.
Or what's the saying? It's not the destination, it's the journey of finding out about yourself and just the growth and the whole experience. I would just do it. Be vulnerable and do it.
And realize people are praying for you guys are praying for each woman that's coming.
That's exactly right.
There are other people praying that they don't even know about that are praying for them. You know, let go and let God. Just let God have control for 2 days.
Exactly. See what that's like.
Yeah, and just see what He does.
And that's a piece I would say too, is when I think about you guys now, I can't imagine any other people in that group. And there was a whole long list of other people, and when I sent the email out, I was like, this is who I know. And then you guys were like, well, you want to be a part of it? So that was the blessing, that every person that came was supposed to be here. And it was letting God pick and choose. And you're exactly right. These are so covered in prayer. Like, I'm already praying about the next group of women that will come because
We're already here.
Are we doing it again? Part 2?
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Yeah. But anybody else? What was it like for you? Because I know this was like kind of your worst, like,
Well, being with women in general is very hard for me. So the fact that was being the most vulnerable I could be was really hard, but the risk was so worth the reward. And the relationships and the bonding that I got from women that I've never had in my entire life, ever, the fact that that came through was worth every fear, every scared apprehension. It was dissipated within minutes, really. So it's absolutely worth it in every way.
But I think that's the enemy telling you not to come.
oh, sure.
And putting those things in your head because the light's guiding you there.
Exactly.
But it's just like, will they like you? Will you fit in? It's all of the bad things. And you come in and there's so much love in the room.
Yeah, exactly.
What I thought of right away was, okay, what can I share and what can I not share? So in my heart and in my mind, I'm thinking, I want to be vulnerable, but, you know, I have to kind of have it together if I'm helping Dee. So I can remember that
goes out the window.
turmoil.
I don't have it together.
Then we rode up together and it's like, oh, whatever.
Forget it.
Whatever, I'm just going to show up. But I think as women, that whole comparison thing of, you know, my story's not as bad as your story, or, and nobody compares as women. It doesn't matter what your story is, it's that you show up, and we're going to be there and see freedom in areas where we all need, and every one of us needed something different. And we didn't have to, at the end, it was like, it's your story, and you just saw them go into freedom. And that is only through the Holy Spirit and Christ here. And literally, I think after the first retreat, I said to her, it felt like it was devil free. I felt like it was, and I couldn't wait to be back there. You know, and then you go out and, like you say, everybody's affected, was so like attacked in certain ways or doubts. And that's why the prayer, like we all started praying, and you think of the lights or whatever, it's real, and that's what we need. So I've done a lot of women's retreats where they're fluffy, and they just want you to make you feel good, and you go out and everybody's supposed to be best friends, and yeah, it was okay, but nobody knew each other, and nobody was okay with who they were. And I will never do another retreat like that again. I won't. Because it doesn't bring out what God wants women to walk in. And we showed each other. We didn't know we were going to do that. It happened. You know?
Yeah, I've gone to dozens of women's retreats. I quit going years ago because I came home. I never knew anybody when I came home. Not a single person. Nobody knew me, and I was like, why am I wasting my money? You know, because and it wasn't that I was going to become besties with somebody, but there wasn't any depth there. And that's why I wanted, with this, I was like, I knew with Dee Dee that I thought, this is going to be really good. This is going to be really cool. I'm psyched. But I thought, but I don't know that I want to share my story because nobody's, they're going to look at it and go, oh my gosh, we don't have anything to do with you. But that's just Satan, just making me not want to be present. And that. But, getting here and just, and I got here early. We prayed before everybody came and just prayed over this place that Satan had no power over it. I just want to say one thing that, and this has nothing to do with me, but God has woken me up many nights to pray for this group of women, not just for you personally, but for your families, and that, and like I said, it has nothing to do with me. I'm like, Lord, really, come on, I really like to get a good night's sleep. Diddy and Richie gets, oh, you actually slept that night. Yeah, God didn't wake me up that night. But he does, and he'll, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to hear that from a lot of us over time, that God puts it on our hearts to pray for somebody in particular, or to pray for the group. Last night that's why I'm so tired today. But it just that God stay present, that we stay present with God, and God stays present with us.
Yeah, and I feel so strongly, from the very beginning, and I will just say this was the most powerful one I've been a part of, because of, and it was sort of accidental that we reduced it in size because I lost my assistant, and I didn't have all the logistics to do a big lodge like we usually do, and this to me felt so sacred and so of God that we have been a part of something that was really, and I don't take any credit at all for this because it was so God that showed up, and I feel such a strong sense that I want to honor that this is the vision that God has given me, and that, again, I would have been like, oh, let's do bigger and better and more, and he's like, strip it down to the basics of 10 women taking a weekend and sharing their hearts and sharing in a way that maybe they never have, and the power of doing that. And so the sacredness of this is why I wanted you guys to be here for this initial, to tell people kind of what this is about, because you're the warrior princesses. You're the alumni now. This is the vision. I know. And we will never, ever, we will all go to our graves remembering this.
Oh, absolutely.
No question.
And I think just cheers and prayers for your next group. To just spread it.
Yeah. That's, and the other thing that we've talked about doing is doing this for teenage girls, which would be huge, because there's nothing like this. They have those big things where it's teen girls and moms or whatever that get together. And there's definitely a place for that, but there is not a place for teenage girls. And I've talked to a couple of them, and they have been all over it. We need this. We need a place where somebody tells us what is true, because the media, they are saturated. And you've got 2 teenage girls. They're saturated by the media. And, I have a hard enough time filtering it. If I was 14 and looking at what the ideal body is and what you're supposed to be doing, and I don't know that I could manage it. So that's the other thing to be in prayer for, is where this ministry goes with younger girls, because we are equipping these girls one way or another. We're equipping them to become the world, or we're equipping them to be warrior princesses that are light to their peers and can speak truth to them, and that will not grow up the way you and I grew up, being shamed our whole lives, where they have a voice. They have that power at 14, 15, 16, 17. So that's the vision. That's the next piece of the vision too, is, to have all ages, but really to have something that focuses on teenagers.
If anybody says, no, I don't want to go, I'll be like, okay, I'm here to talk you, to go, to tell you, I will drive you, I can pick you up, I can do whatever you need me to do.
Well, and thank you for bringing that up too, because it really was, I was so blessed in thinking, okay, this is the vision that God's given me, who needs to be there? And I mean, it was name. Like I just knew who needed to be there, and the response was unbelievable. I mean, I opened it up to like 12 people, I think, or 13 people. It was like boom, you know, it was full.
She said it's full. I'm like,
What?
Okay.
What? It was like almost pre-full.
And I was
Yeah.
like, rumor has it you're having a retreat.
Yeah, I know. She's like, we would like to be there. And as soon as I was like, yes, these girls need to be there. So yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it is it was really all orchestrated by the Lord, which created so much safety.
you are loved. You are seen. You are heard. You are called. You are more than enough. You are just right. You are altogether lovely. You are strong. You are beautiful. You are worthy. You are so worth it. You are God's delight, redeemed, ransomed, chosen, anointed, beloved, brave, and so blessed.